Give me some more time in a dream. Give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody say,
Hey Nick, what's going on?
Hey, MJ, nothing much. Hashtag chillin'. What's up with you?
I know, just been reading some stuff. Hashtag rising and run. Hashtag is it Friday yet? By the way, did you read that article about accessibility? Hashtag interesting. Hashtag informative.
No, I didn't actually. Mind telling me about it? Hashtag staying informed. Hashtag worldly news. Hashtag what is even accessibility?
What is accessibility? Hashtag where have you been? Hashtag it's how you get to point A to point B. Hashtag it's difficult in HRM. Hashtag sidewalk. Hashtag danger zone. Hashtag HRM prov.
Hashtag they see me rollin'. Hashtag hatin'.
More like hashtag the wheels on the bus don't go around.
Good one. Hashtag they go bumpity bump.
So yeah, accessibility is an issue.
So buses and stuff. Hashtag metro transit. Hashtag freezing my butt off for the bus.
Speaking of freezing, I just watched Ice Age the other day. Hashtag it's really funny.
Hashtag Ray Romano. Hashtag Deborah. Hashtag
LOL. But yeah, apparently a bunch of nursing students did some research and found it to be an issue for vulnerable populations such as the mentally and physically disabled. Hashtag nursing students for the win. Hashtag Dalhousie. Hashtag helping the community.
Oh, I didn't know that. What do you mean vulnerable populations? Hashtag who knew? Hashtag new information. Hashtag learning.
Vulnerable populations are those that are more of a disadvantaged social-economically and health-wise. Hashtag their sticker. Hashtag universal healthcare. Hashtag have not.
So, you're saying that because they can't get from point A to point B, they are hashtag sticker, hashtag
So yeah, without proper means of transportation or accessibility, vulnerable populations, such as the mentally and physically disabled, have more hashtag health issues, hashtag missed appointments, hashtag healthcare problems, hashtag not the universal healthcare.
Really? I wasn't aware of this. Hashtag this is an issue, hashtag how can I help?
Well, you can help by creating awareness. Hashtag Facebook, hashtag YouTube, hashtag Twitter, hashtag accept the problem.
This is a really important issue. We need to keep advocating for the mentally and physically disabled. Hashtag that's how we do. Hashtag we go hard. Hashtag we can't stop.